It's Chase to the Checkered, featuring the NASCAR Winston Racing Series at Jennerstown Speedway. This week's program is brought to you in part by Supus Ford and Power 92. Today's show is also brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer. Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store. And by Banquet Frozen Foods, good food that's right on the money. Hello and welcome to Chase to the Checkered, featuring the NASCAR Winston Racing Series action from Jennerstown Speedway. This week's show of May 19th, the Supus Ford Power 92 night, will feature racing action from our three weekly divisions, those being the Beckwith Machinery late models, Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinders, and Banquet Street Stocks. This was to be our third program of the year, but unfortunately we lost our first two events due to inclement weather. So tonight's racing is opening day at Jennerstown for the 1990 season. And David, with this being opening night, we could expect a lot of excitement here.
Mike, I'm sure the drivers are very anxious to get strapped into their race cars. To get out on a racetrack that's green, hasn't been used all season, I'm sure they're looking forward to taking the green flag.
And we'll be seeing a lot of that action, which will include in today's program the heat race qualifying events, the feature events, and our race breaks. We'll be coming back with highlights of the heat race action right after these messages.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
Hi, I'm Robert Young. Mr. Young to most of the people around here. Sure, my dad owns Irwin RV, but I run the whole operation. I make sure our new and used inventory is in top shape, and I run our award-winning service department. You might say I'm the most important guy here at Irwin RV.
Get 3 coffees, 2 cream and 1 black. And hurry back, the restrooms need cleaned.
RPM, Racing's Almost Perfect magazine, is the best way to keep up to date on all the latest racing news all year long. Racing's Almost Perfect magazine is available at over 500 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Maryland. You can also have RPM sent to your home. For subscription information, call 412-824-0888. Remember, if you keep your RPMs up, you will always be ahead of the crowd.
North Star Auto Parts specializes in late model salvage for American and foreign cars and trucks. Our large selection of economical and dependable used parts is monitored by computer to give you fast and accurate price quotes. Our national parts search program puts the inventory of the entire country at our fingertips. If it's available, we'll find it. We offer a 100-day warranty on all late model drivetrain components and free delivery to businesses in a 10-county area. For quality used parts with state-of-the-art service, it's North Star Auto Parts.
Welcome back to Chase to the Checkered. Heat race action started with the Beckwith Machinery late models. Ohioan Tim Ice jumped into the lead at the drop of the green in the first heat. A good second-place battle saw Bobby Henry's 77 lose that position to Ken Horner, while Dave Wade and Rick Boyer also slipped by on the low side. Ice held on for the win and was followed across the line by Ken Horner, Dave Wade, Rick Boyer, and Bobby Henry. The second heat saw Roger Corral hold off the low side efforts of Rich Duker while the top 4 cars fought for positions. Corral crossed the finish line first, followed by Rich Duker, Danny White, Rick Miller, and Chuck Kessler. In the third heat, Bob Arsenberger maintained the lead from his pole position. Steve Pellis worked the low side of Clayt Husted's machine, in which he's able to get by for third, while Glenn Galt follows Pellis's line and moves past Husted into fourth. Pellis closed in on the back bumper of second-place runner Charlie Cragen, but ran out of time in his efforts to challenge for that position. At the finish, it was Bob Arsenberger, followed by Charlie Cragen, Steve Pellis, Glenn Galt, and Clayt Husted. The Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder competitors were next on the program with heat race action. The first heat belonged to Mike Catone in the Dodge Daytona machine as he was able to lap traffic on his way to the checker. A great battle for second saw Jim Seeger slide high in turn 4, allowing Mark Catone to get under him for that position. Seeger came right back to the low side 1/2 lap later, then drifts up high, but he's able to hold down the position at the checker. Mike Catone wins, followed by Jim Seeger, Mark Catone, Tim Spisak, and Doug Lieberman. In the second heat, third-place starter Kurt Havidel wasted no time in taking the top spot before one lap was completed. Kurt took the Imperial chassis machine onto the win and was followed by Marion Reno, Randy Pope, J. Paul McCracken, and Greg Vasco. The Banquet Street Stock Division heats started with Bill McMillan taking the early command of the first heat, while 2 and 3 wide action followed behind him. The first yellow came out for Jim Hamilton's 34, and on the restart, Denny Wingard pressed Bill McMillan for the top spot. But at the checker, it was McMillan holding on to the win, followed by Denny Wingard, Bob Rayleigh, Tony Hirsch, and Bob McMillan. The second heat saw defending track champion Vince Rendisi work his way from 5th place position to take the lead from Jeff Dunmar's 07 late in the heat. Rendisi was followed by Dunmar, Mark Cable, Jeff Stewart, and Mark Roberts at the checker. That's a summary of our heat race action. Let's take this opportunity to present our first race break as we look at some of the aerodynamics of short track racing.
This race break is brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
Whether it be on a super speedway or a short track like Jennerstown, aerodynamics play a key role in a race car's ability to get around the racetrack as fast as they can. In this Beckwith Machinery late model car, the driver Mike Chickalo, the Stanley Steamer-sponsored machine, you can see some of the small details that are critical to the aerodynamics. This rear spoiler, of course, the purpose here is to catch the wind off the race car. After it goes along the roof, it slides down in this area. It actually dents the roof of the car in. You know that air shooting off that roof, getting on the spoiler, and putting these tires, the right rear tire particularly, on that asphalt to get a lot of grip. Also, you'll look at the fender flare treatment right here on the right rear tire. That, of course, is just getting clean air past the tire, so the actual rotation of the tire is not hitting that air. Even going over to the passenger side, there's treatment here with some sheet metal that deflects the wind and throws it out of the car to keep as much dirty air away from the inside of the car to make it slippery smooth. If we go up to the front of the car, you will see that there are 4 hood pins across the hood of this particular machine. Those hood pins, of course, are trying to keep as much air as possible from getting under this car, having a tendency to lift it up and slowing the machine down. Aerodynamics, a very critical part of even short track racing.
This race break is brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
It's feature event time, and we're getting ready for 35 laps of high-flying action in the Super Sport Power 92 feature for the Beckwith Machinery late models. Let's set up the lineup for you. On the point is the number 4, Rich Duker. Outside of him on the front row is the 26 of Bob Arsenberger. Second row are 2 hot shoes, the 00 of Steve Pellis and the 32 of Glenn Galt. In the third row is the 65 of Tim Ice. Outside of him, Roger Coral. David, we have a lot of potential strong feature winners in this field.
Second row, Glenn Galt and Steve Pellis, former track champion Steve Pellis. Both have won Winston Racing Series regional championships. The guy on the point, Rich Duker, what can you say about him? His heat color brings a stuffed armadillo as his mascot. He's his own pit crew, driver, and car owner. He's amazing.
We'll be watching him as he brings the field out of 4, getting ready for the start. Starter Jack Freeman looks him over. The pace car's into the pits. We're green and we're racing.
Bob Arsenberger taking off into the lead, Mike.
Arsenberger tucks in on the low line. Galt's right behind him, and the field getting through 1 and 2 cleanly as we go down the back straightaway. Bob Arsenberger continues on the point with Galt tucked in right behind him. Arsenberger, after taking off from the front row, getting by Duker. It looked like Duker had problems coming up the speed. He's already dropped back to 3rd place. And you see everybody's still getting by cleanly as we go back to our leaders on the back straightaway. Arsenberger continuing to hold off the high-flying Glenn Galt.
Duker traditionally has trouble coming up to speed in his feature events. We'll keep an eye on Glenn Galt and see which groove he runs, Mike.
Just while we're talking about Rich Duker, he now has his hands full. The 00 Steve Pellis has moved up back behind his bumper as everybody's starting to string out in this field. Down the back straightaway continues to be Arsenberger. Glenn Galt right behind him. Glenn trying the high side in this racetrack. He looks like he's experimenting out there, Dave, to pick a groove as we watch this battle for third place.
Well, Bob Arsenberger, former track champion at Morgantown and Elkins, West Virginia, on the dirt tracks, looks like he has the car dialed in.
I can remember a race last year, Dave, where I think Bob had led most of the race before losing it just in the last lap or two to Steve Pellis, and he's really in the same position now with Glenn Galt.
There were several races last year that he was in that position. The win came down to the last lap, and somebody passed him.
Right now, it continues to be Galt glued to his back bumper, and those first two cars, Arsenberger and Galt, are starting to separate themselves from that battle for third, which continues to be a good one. And Tim Ice there in the 65, as well as Rick Miller in the 19, they are starting to close up on Duker and the Pellis in his 00. It looks like we're going to have a four-car battle for third place, that is, as we continue this fight up front between Arsenberger and Galt.
Let me tell you something about Tim Ice, Mike. His wife builds his engines for his race car.
Tim's wife builds those 4 fast racing engines, and Rich Duker has one of those engines under the hood, so 2 of them out there built by Tim Ice's wife. That's quite an accomplishment. The field stringing out as our leaders. We picked them up in turns 3 and 4. Continues to be Arsenberger with Galt right behind him. I think we have problems on the back straightaway, Dave.
We have a crash, Mike. Rick Boyer. Oh, Matt Lawler. Oh, he just drilled Rick Boyer's car coming out of the second turn.
A horrendous situation on the back straightaway, and this deems to be a very serious situation. The yellow flag is on, and the safety crews are being called out. There's Chuck Kessler's 91 machine. He's able to get underway. That's a good sign.
Looked like Rick Boyer's car broke loose coming out of number 2. Took Danny White's car up towards the wall. Out of number 2 came Matt Lawler and just drilled him right in the driver's door.
Of course, the concern right now, Dave, is it looks like Rick Boyer has suffered the worst damage, and we're concerned about him and his well-being. Lawler is getting out of the car. That's a good sign that the young driver is able to get out of that machine. Here come the safety crews. The ambulance is on its way over, and we'll take time out for these messages. Be right back.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader, because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in western Pennsylvania, northern West Virginia, and western Maryland.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
Hello, I'm Mark Thomas. This coming weekend, we're holding our annual spring silent sale at Thomas. Although we're closed Saturday and Sunday, all our cars and trucks will be on display with the special sale prices clearly marked. No salespeople, just you and the great bargains. And the price you see is the price you'll pay on Monday. Stop by and save during our silent sale this weekend at Thomas, Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, Subaru, and Geo.
It's the newest member of the NASCAR Winston Racing Series under new ownership and management, the Motordrome Speedway, with 4 divisions of asphalt racing excitement. Every Sunday night featuring the Keystone Coca-Cola late models, limited late models, 4 cylinders, and street stocks. Gates open at 2 with racing at 5 p.m. Motordrome's easy to find. Take the Smithton exit of I-70 located 1 mile east of the Route 51 I-70 intersection, only 26 miles south of downtown Pittsburgh. That's racing every Sunday night, 5 p.m. at Motordrome Speedway, NASCAR's newest track in the Winston Racing Series. Welcome back. The chase to the checkered. Currently, we're under the yellow flag on lap 6 with the Beckwith Machinery late model feature event. A lot of damage due to a very bad crash in the back straightaway, but all the drivers are okay, and that's just a great sign, Dave.
Well, it bodes well, Mike, to the stringent rules that Jennerstown Speedway officials adhere to with the safety of these cars to stand up to a crash like that.
There's one of the cars in the accident, the one that took one of the worst shots, Rick Boyer's 55. You really couldn't see on our side, but the other side of the car is really damaged. As we get ready for the restart, once again, it is Bob Arsenberger on the point, followed by Glenn Galt, Rapid Rich Duker running in third, and Steve Pellis has been on his bumper in the 00, so we'll keep our eyes on it on this restart. Here we go, coming out of 4, and we've got the green.
Looks like Pellis might make a move on Duker, Mike.
He's certainly able to do it, and you called it earlier, Dave. Duker having problems coming up the speed in that machine. And here comes Tim Ice up to his back bumper, as well as Rick Miller in the 19 as they drag race down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Now it looks like Steve Pellis is really on the move in the double zero as he closes up behind the back bumper of Galt. The rest of the field getting by on this restart cleanly. There's Audie's 75 and the 77 of Bobby Henry back up to our leaders on the back straightaway. And looks like we're going to have a 6-car battle for the lead.
Looks like the cars are smoking coming out down the back straightaway, Mike. That's just simply the oil dry put down to soak up the oil from the accident.
They sure used a lot of it because there was a lot of problems in the back straightaway with loss of fluids in cars. As we continue with this lead battle on the back straightaway, Steve Pellis has closed up on it, and now we have really 2 separate 3-car battles out there. This one we're looking at has Duker running third, and they're all closing up together. We may have a 6-car battle for the lead here very shortly as we go into turn 2. Look at Rick Miller on the high side.
Take a look at Rick Duker's car. The hood pin looks like it has come loose on the right side of the car.
It certainly looks that way, Dave, as he goes into turn 3. Duker's car definitely problems with the hood as I see Bobby Henry 77 jumps into the pits. Glenn Gold is trying to make the move on the low side of Arsenberger for the lead, and he almost relinquished that area for Steve Pellis to get up to the high side of him. We'll keep our eyes on that. Rick Miller is now closed in on the double zero of Steve Pellis. He is a guy out there that's really on the move in that Precision Chassis Center number 19 machine.
Rick Miller built the car that Bob Arsenberger is driving that's in the lead right now.
Galt tucking to the low side, can't make the move. Arsenberger holding him off. This almost looks like a carbon copy of last year when Arsenberger did the same thing, holding off the double zero of Steve Pellis. Now he has his hands full doing the same thing tonight with Galt in the 32.
Don't think he won't hold those fellas off. He wasn't voted the most improved driver in 1989 for nothing.
Galt continues right on that back bumper, and Steve Pellis looks like he's trying to set that car up for the high side on Galt. You know, the interesting thing here, Dave, is Glenn Galt has to be concerned with trying to get around Bob Arsenberger, but if he commits himself to one line, he may jeopardize his position with Steve Pellis trying to steal that away from him.
Especially with Galt trying the low line, which is his groove. Steve Pellis always runs up top and does very well in the upper groove.
Rick Miller continues to keep all these top 3 runners at bay as he's directly behind the double zero of Pellis. And you called it, Dave. Pellis is trying to work that high side, but Galt works up to the middle of the racetrack, holds him off as we're going around a lot of lap traffic on the back straightaway. Bob Smith's blue 44 as the cars get by him on the high side through turns 3 and 4. Arsenberger now is stretching the lead out over Galt. Perhaps he's found some newfound speed in that particular machine.
I'm telling you, this guy's going to win a race in 1990, guaranteed. It may be tonight.
He continues the lead, and now Galt has caught up on him. He looks to the outside, but Galt has to pull the car right back in the middle. Oh, Arsenberger slides up a little bit. Glenn down low, but Bob won't give it to him on the front straightaway. Steve Pellis sitting back there. Would a guy like that, Dave, sit around and maybe just wait for a mistake in front, take advantage of it?
He can't wait too long. There aren't a whole lot of laps left in this event. He's going to have to make his move very soon.
Meanwhile, it is a 19 of Rick Miller and the 65 of Tim Ice that make this a 5-car battle for the lead. An unbelievable show of strategy out here at this point as we just have a freight train 5-car snake heading down the back straightaway. It's going to be very interesting to see who determines to pull out what cards at the end of this poker hand we call the Beckwith Machinery late models in this feature event.
I'm wondering if the restrictor plates are causing these drivers to run single file and not be able to pass on the outside.
Tough to say. Early in the season, the track is green. We don't have a lot of rubber on it. That may prove different in the weeks to come, but right now it is certainly a good battle. Steve Pellis, it continues to me to look like, Dave, he keeps trying to draw that outside line on Galt, and we know Galt likes to go low, but here Glenn's going high on Arsenberger, but he has to back off as we continue to close in on some more lap traffic. Out of turn 2, Arsenberger with that lead since the drop of the green. Now Glenn starts a long line. Here comes Steve on the high side of Glenn Galt, working that. Oh, Rick Miller tucking in.
Down low, Mike. He almost had it stick in the groove.
Dave, he could be a sleeper out here. Rick Miller snuck down under the double zero of Pellis. Almost got it. Oh, lap traffic out of turn 2. Here
Keep an eye on Pellis.
On the back straightaway, Pellis to the high side of Galt. They dive into turn 3. Steve Pellis still working that daring outside line. They're working their way around the 87 of Kenny Imler Jr. and Pellis diving in to that second place position. Unbelievable move.
Forget that notion about the restrictor plates and not being able to pass. They're really flying.
Pellis has gotten into the second place position, and now we do have that carbon copy situation of 89 when Arsenberger had led Pellis lap after lap. Let's see if this time Bob said
Here comes Pellis. Oh, on the outside, Mike.
Let's see if Bob can hold
Now
it
here
up.
comes Galt.
Oh, now Bob has his hands full. Look at these two guys going at it on the back straightaway. Galt on the inside, Pellis on the high side by side, flying in formation. It looks like jet fighters coming out of turn 4. Rick Miller right behind them.
Arsenberger's heart's got to be going 100 miles an hour out there. He's really feeling the heat.
He's putting on a good show, and I would imagine what he's going to have to do is try to run the middle groove of this racetrack so no one has a chance to sneak on the outside or inside of his 26.
Either that or wish he had another car looked just like his to block the outside, because he's going to have a tough
Here
time
comes
holding
Pellis,
off.
Dave. Steve Pellis on the outside. He's trying to make that
Now
move.
Galt down low.
Oh, these guys hammering tooth and nail out there. It's been good, clean racing, but I have to wonder now, how long can Steve hold that outside line before he might have problems with wearing those tires out? That's the long way around this racetrack, and it tends to wear those tires out.
Well, like I said earlier, Mike, Steve Pellis's groove is on the outside. I think he knows how to set that car up for up top.
Well, he certainly has his hands full there, and Glenn Galt, of course, he has just said to himself, I had second, I'm trying to get it back again, and both of those guys are looking for an opportunity to take advantage of any mistake that Arsenberger might make.
Here he comes, Pellis on the outside in the aluminum body.
Oh, we've got all this lap traffic in front of us, Dave. What's going to go on?
5 cars battling out for the front spot.
Someone's going to have to give here in turn 3. Let's keep our eyes on it. Now, Galt is on the low side, and there it is. Pellis had to back off. Not enough room to make it 3 wide there. Oh, here comes Galt to the
again on the outside.
He's got him locked in, Dave.
Arsenberger stuck behind Randy Burke going into turn 2. Loses a spot.
Glenn Galt used strategy to his favor and was able to make the pass on Arsenberger. Like you said, Bob getting caught behind the sheets number 34 of Randy Burke. And now Arsenberger, all of a sudden, it's like he's lost something here. He's cleared down 10 car lengths from Glenn Galt already.
Boy, this has to be heartbreaking for Arsenberger. Galt's really taking off.
There is one thing, though. He's still trying to save face for second place position, and he'll have his hands full. There's Pellis right behind him, the 19 of Rick Miller, and the 65 of Tim Ice. We've got to keep our eyes on Tim Ice because he's won already in Western Pennsylvania in 1990. He goes on the low side of Miller in turn 2. Can't make the move. And he and Rick Miller, one or the other, could be a sleeper in this event.
Tim Ice won the big 100-lap Snap-on Tools Fall Festival with us last year in 1989. He's a car that really can hook up to this racetrack.
We continue under green flag racing conditions here in the Super Sport Power 92 35-lap feature event for the Beckwith Machinery late models. The battle you're looking at on the track is for second going into turn 3. The 26 of Arsenberger continuing to hold off the challenges of Steve Pellis in the 00.
Oh,
now
Pellis on the outside.
Oh, so close to the wall, but Steve tucking it back in. Glenn Galt has separated himself from this second place battle after getting by Arsenberger. He currently has the lead as we continue down into turn 3 once again. And it looks like Steve Pellis working that outside may be able to put some serious challenges on Arsenberger before we finish this event. They get around some more lap traffic. Rick Miller, who had gotten past Tim Ice and Rich Duker before Duker's car had dropped out of the race, looked to be the fastest car on the track, but now for the last 10 or 12 laps, he's been sitting comfortably behind the bumper of the 00 of Pellis. I'm wondering if he's going to start doing something.
I don't know if his tires aren't working, Mike, to make the move.
We only have 2 laps to go, so Rick is going to have to pull out all the stops right now. We're going to follow this battle for second. Galt has this feature win under his belt if he can just hang on and not incur any mechanical problems. But out of turn 4, once again, the battle for second. 1 lap to go. Arsenberger down into turns 1 and 2. The 00 pulse up.
Here comes Miller.
Miller goes on the low side, but Pellis doesn't let him have it. Here comes Tim Ice.
Pellis on the outside, Mike.
2 battles out there. Pellis in that battle for third. Tim Ice, contact with Rick Miller, trying to make it in 4th place. And it's going to be Arsenberger finishing up second. The 00 of Steve Pellis in 3rd. Miller in 4th. Glenn Galt, though, the story here, picking up the feature win in a Super Sport Power 92 35-lap event for the Beckwith Machinery late models. He'll be heading into victory lane. Here's the rest of the machines slowing down on this cool-down lap. A great race for a number of cars out there, David. Of course, all the dividends paying off for Glenn Galt. There you see him in victory lane, pulling down the feature win. Second goes the Bob Arsenberger in a 26. The double zero of Steve Pellis pulling down third place. Fourth, the Rick Miller in a 19. And rounding out the top 5 is a 65 of Tim Ice. Glenn Gold, the American Title and Trust number 32 machine in Victory Lane. We'll be back after this.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader. Because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and Western Maryland.
Ever since I was a kid, I said, when I get so I can buy a car, it's going to be an Oldsmobile.
Cutlass Sierra Cash.
No service problems at all. I haven't had any problems with my Oldsmobile.
Back off $1,500 from Olds. $600 for first-time buyers.
We just have had no problems whatsoever with our Oldsmobile.
A price as low as $11,170. A fully equipped Cutlass Sierra sedan.
She loves driving that car, I tell you.
Cutlass Sierra Cash is for a limited time.
Cutlass Sierra Cash back now at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
This Saturday, it's the Gatling's AC Delco Twin 50s for the Beckwith Machinery late models at Jennerstown Speedway. The gates will open at 4:30 with racing at 7 p.m. Also included will be a complete program for the Giant Auto Valvoline 4-cylinders and Beckwith street stocks. Jennerstown's easy to find, located 10 miles east of Ligonier at the intersections of Route 30 and 985. And don't forget, race fans, coming during the 1990 season, it's a chance for you to win big money in the Beckwith Frozen Foods Pick 5 contest. That's this Saturday, 7 p.m. It's the Gatling's AC Delco Twin 50s for the Beckwith Machinery late models at Jennerstown Speedway.
North Star Auto Parts specializes in late model salvage for American and foreign cars and trucks. Our large selection of economical and dependable used parts is monitored by computer to give you fast and accurate price quotes. Our national parts search program puts the inventory of the entire country at our fingertips. If it's available, we'll find it. We offer a 100-day warranty on all late model drivetrain components and free delivery to businesses in a 10-county area. For quality used parts with state-of-the-art service, it's North Star Auto Parts.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
We're back. The Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder machines on the track getting ready for their 25-lap feature event. On the point is a 12 of Timothy Spisak. Outside of him, Marion Reno in a 61. Second row has Kurt Havidel. We'll have to keep our eyes on him, and Jim Seeger in a 47. Third row, the #2 of Mike Catone and his brother Mark Catone in a 24. David going through turns 3 and 4. We're tightening up, looking for the green flag for 25 laps. We've got it, and we're racing.
Keep an eye on that second and third row with Kurt Havidel in there.
Down into turns 1 and 2. Marion Reno trying the high side on Spisak. He can't do it, and here comes Havidel into 50 on the inside. They go flying out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Havidel on the low side. He tucks into the second place position and sets his sights on Spisak's machine. Look at Seeger on the outside, getting by the 61 machine of Marion Reno, and that guy really knows how to run around the outside, doesn't he, Dave?
That's another driver that hooks up on the outside. Boy, can he really make it go. And there goes Havidel into the lead.
Kurt Havidel has proved us right. He's jumped right into the lead. Mike Catone, meanwhile, gets to the low side of Spisak. He becomes the meat in the sandwich as the 47 of Seeger gets to the high side of him and continues his high route around the racetrack. The rest of the field getting by Cleamy in these early laps of this Super Sport Power 92 25-lap feature event for this division. On the low side, Marion Reno fighting it out with the 12 of Spisak on the back straightaway. Here comes Mark Catone. He makes it 3 wide in turn 3 and able to get through, Dave. And there he's side by side with Reno.
Your pole sitter, Tim Spisak, making a slow fade to the back.
Spisak in an Imperial chassis car. Was that not a car that Kurt Havidel drove?
That car 2 years ago, I believe, several track wins.
A good battle here for a top position down the back straightaway. I do believe the battle is for third, and it's Mark Catone going into that position out of turn 4. Marion Reno for the machine, and he settles back into the 4th place position. As we go to your leader on the back straightaway, Kurt Havidel all by himself out there already, Dave. The guy just picked right up from where he was last year. Continue to string out. It looks like Seeger's having problems. He went by the screen earlier there, a little bit slower, but everybody, some 2x2 racing here in the back as Spisak continues to go backwards in that black and orange number 12. He has just fallen off the space. Look how far he has dropped back from your leader coming out of 4, Havidel, as he goes by the flag stand.
That's over half a track advantage, Mike.
And we're still very early in this 25-lap feature event. Havidel holds that lead well over Mike Catone in the 2, the 47 machine of Seeger, and you can see the top 5, 6 positions well strung out on this racetrack. Everybody picking that low inside groove on opening night at Jennerstown. That seems to be the hot setup on this green track right now.
Except for Jim Seeger, who we had mentioned likes to run on the outside, but Kurt Havidel, what can you say about this guy? He's won just about everything there is in 4 cylinders.
He continues in the outside now, going by some lap traffic. The former sprint driver in that blue 98 machine was Ray Basil. Now he's getting by the high side of a newcomer. I believe that was Clay Zabrowski. As we look at second place runner Mike Catone in the 2, he makes it 3 wide, getting by the lap traffic in turns 1 and 2, and continues on in that Dodge Daytona body car. Here's a guy that has given Havidel, our leader here, some trouble in the past, or I should say a lot of competition.
Kind of unusual to see a Dodge body race car out there. Not too many Dodges running in the country. He and probably Jerry Churchill, who runs the ARCA cars, are the 2 strongest running Dodges anywhere.
Out of turn 4, and now back to the back straightaway. Havidel continues with the lead, and I don't think Mike Catone's been able to catch up on him. We look at this battle. I believe this one is for 5th place position on the back straightaway. The Smale Mazda 61 machine of Marion Reno, McKeesport driver, still trying to hold off Greg Baskin of 41. And here comes J. Paul McCracken. That's an interesting race driver.
J. Paul McCracken, the friendly undertaker. He's one of 2 funeral directors racing with us for 1990.
Once again, we're back to Havidel.
Oh, we have a spin, Mike.
The Power 92 Super Ford Probe machine of Bob Moss out of Johnstown brings out the first yellow in the event.
Bob Moss picking up that ride in mid-season of last year off the car owner Lou DeBardo.
I think this would be a good time, Dave. We take an opportunity to look at one of the race brakes on our Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder division.
This race break is brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
I'm talking to Mark Catone out of McKeesport, one of our Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder drivers. He drives the Target Ford number 24 machine. And one thing we want to address here is the unusual situation with an engine in these cars. The cars don't have an engine up by the front axle, but they're allowed to set the engine back. Mark, in this division, a setback on the engine is allowed how many inches from the front axle?
10 inches from the front.
And what does that allow you for a driver from a handling standpoint?
Whenever you go into the corners on a racetrack, whenever you get off the gas and get back on the gas, from not having all the weight on the front of the car more towards the back of the car, it allows the car to handle better.
So the setback of the engine is very important for the cars.
It definitely makes a difference on the way the car handles in the corners. It's very important.
And that's one of the aspects that gives these lighter cars the handling in the turns, in many cases, almost as fast as one of our late models.
That's true. We, whenever the car is handling good, we normally don't have to lift off the throttle too much, if everything's right.
This race break has been brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
4-cylinder feature getting ready for the restart on lap 10. It's up to Kurt Havidel to bring him around out of 4 for the green. We get the green, we're racing, and look at this. Mike Catone is moving on the inside.
Havidel off the pace.
He takes over the lead from Kurt Havidel. Somewhat of an Achilles heel for Havidel, having problems on the restarts here at Jennerstown. Mike Catone, the McKeesport, Pennsylvania driver, takes advantage of it, goes into the lead as they dive through that oil dry material. Oh, Kurt Havidel tries a low line.
He bobbles.
Out of 4, Havidel not able to make that pass as Mike Catone wants to make the best of it in the restart. Keep in mind, we only run 25 laps in this event, and we restarted on lap 10, so 15 laps that Mike has to stay out in front of Kurt, and you know Havidel's going to work him over hard, Dave.
Catone was a 1988 point. Oh, Havidel bobbled again going into 3. And I was going to say Mike Catone was a 1988 point champion. Havidel 1989 point champion in the 4-cylinder division.
You know, one slip up on the track, and you can lose a lot of distance between yourself and the position you're trying to fight for. I think Havidel back there, he got in a lot of did that oil dry material?
Looked like the oil dry was a problem going into the third and fourth turn. You could see it kicking up again off of Seeger's back end.
Just when we were talking about the oil dry material, here comes Jimmy Seeger making his presence known, so we don't want to forget him. He could make this a strong three-car battle for the lead. And Kurt Havidel, he'll try that low line. Let's see if the oil dry causes havoc this time. No, he's sticking on the turns this time around, Dave.
It looked like Catone had the problem on the outside.
We're side by side going into the first turn. Lap traffic, but Havidel squeezing through a sandwich job into the lead. And here comes Seeger. He's closing up to the back bumper of Mike Catone's car as they work through turns 3 and 4.
Seeger was the opening day winner at Motordrome Speedway a week or so ago, Mike.
He's shown that just after no experience behind these cars, he jumped in last year, and he can really motivate in that 47 machine. Did that look like they made contact out of 2?
Several times it looked like they bumped Seeger's front end with Catone's rear end.
Side by side through turns 3 and 4, the battle for second. Jimmy Seeger going into the second position. Now Mike Catone wants to take it back off him again. There's Spicak's car well off the pace that you saw a few seconds ago. We continue on the back straightaway, and the battle for second with Jimmy Seeger. Yeah, there's something, Dave, wrong with this 47 machine. He's having problems on the straightaways, and he has it hooked up in the turns, but I don't know. They said a few weeks back they had ignition problems on that car.
When it gets to mid-track, it seems like it lags, like it throws an anchor out. When it gets into the turn, it picks up again. I can't figure it out.
Havidel continues with the lead. He's stretched it out quite a bit over second-place runner Jim Seeger. This battle continues down the front straightaway. Looks like Mike Catone wants to try the high side.
We have a bad crash in turn 2, Mike.
The yellow is out, and there certainly is a problem in turn 2. And trying to pick up who's involved there, Dave.
Looks like J. Paul McCracken in the 43, and Paul Upson in the 42, and Ray Basil in the 98. Although I don't think Upson was involved in the initial crash.
The track safety vehicle coming out onto the speedway over in turn 2 to the attention of J. Paul McCracken's 43. Paul Upson's orange car directly behind him, and they'll check him out as well. Some of the people going over to Ray Basil, and we'll be back right after this.
The RV dealer who is so eager to take your money this year may not be as eager to service your RV next year. You won't have to worry about that at Irwin RV. Irwin RV has been on Route 30 for 50 years, so you know we'll be here when you need us. We're your exclusive Fleetwood factory outlet with products like Prowler, the #1 seller for 17 years, 1988, and Pace Aero, the #1 selling Class A, for fantastic value and reliable service. Trust Irwin RV.
RPM, Racing's Almost Perfect magazine, is the best way to keep up to date on all the latest racing news all year long. Racing's Almost Perfect magazine is available at over 500 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Maryland. You can also have RPM sent to your home. For subscription information, call 412-824-0888. Remember, if you keep your RPMs up, you will always be ahead of the crowd.
I've had no problems with this car compared to the problems I had with the other vehicles.
Not a single problem. Cutlass Sierra.
No problem.
I had just always had this false impression that they were too expensive for me.
For a limited time, back off $1,500 from Olds, $600 for first-time buyers. Cutlass Sierra, just $11,170.
That's it. That's what I want.
Only $11,170.
I feel like I got a very good deal, and I got a lot of car for my dollar.
Cutlass Sierra cash back now at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
Welcome back. We're ready for the restart for the 4 cylinders on lap 17 after a crash in turn 2.
Good news out of the pits. All drivers are A-OK from that accident.
That's great to hear. As Kurt Havidel brings them around out of 4, we get the green, and we're racing once again. Jimmy Seeger running second, and we talked about it earlier, Dave. We talked about it earlier. He has problems coming up to speed on the straightaways. Mike Catone trying to take advantage of it. Wonder what'll happen down this back straightaway on this situation. He's not able to do it. Seeger hangs on to it. And I've been seeing times when Seeger looks strong in that front and back straightaway, and sometimes when he just slows down.
The car definitely has some type of a problem. I thought Havidel would have a problem on the restart, but he just took right off.
Yeah, Definitely got a good restart this time around, and he's been able to hold that position over Seeger by about 15 car lengths. We're looking at some of the other top 5 runners there briefly. That is Mark Catone in the 24. Mark's had a lot of success at Jennerstown in the past, but he didn't have a very good year last year.
Finished in the top 10 in points, but he did have a lot of problems in the 1989 Thunderbird.
I believe he was shut out of Victory Lane last year, and you can see he's quite a bit of distance away from our leaders. It is Marion Reno in the 61 fighting it out with Greg Basco. Basco with the new ride. He's excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later if we can. But meanwhile, the battle for second is still a pretty good one here as the 47 of Seeger gets around lap traffic and holding about a 3 to 4 car length lead over the third place runner, Mike Catone, in the number 2.
A lot of these cars look like Thunderbirds or full-body cars, but they are actually a downsized version of the regular street car.
And what's interesting is these 4-bangers that are under the hood, some of them push out as much as, I should say, pump out as much as 270 horsepower in these cars.
We've seen them clock close to a second slower than the late models, which are an 8-cylinder car, which is very fast.
At least through the turns, they seem to be as fast. As this battle continues for second, Mike Catone, he's all over the back bumper of Seeger's car now. Seeger in that W&W Howell chassis car, quite a history of that machine. Dave Stacy drove that car at one time a few years back, and he could run as well as anybody in that car.
Dave Stacy, undoubtedly one of the best 4-cylinder competitors across the country.
This battle for second continues. We now have only 2 laps to go in this event. Seeger on the low side. Outside of him, Mike Catone. He still can't make that move on him down the back straightaway. Habadell continues outdistancing this second place battle as he'll undoubtedly pick up that checkered flag. Into the 4th turn, it continues to be Seeger uncharacteristically on the low side with 1 lap remaining for this battle for second. Into 1 and 2 now. Seeger working the low line of this racetrack after being on the high side for so much of this race. Only a half a lap remaining. Habadell takes the checker. We continue with this battle for second, working through 3 and 4, and I do believe it will be Jimmy Seeger picking up second place, followed by Mike Catone.
You know, we thought Seeger had a problem with his car, but he ended up finishing second. I guess the car was running okay.
He certainly used all of the racetrack in holding off Mike Catone for second place. Here is your feature winner, though, in the Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder division. The cool-down lap there is Seeger's machine and Mike Catone's second and third place winners. The Super Sport Power 92 25-lap feature with Kurt Habadell in victory lane. Once again, the top 5 finishers. Kurt Habadell winning the event. Second to Jim Seeger in the 47. Mike Catone in the number 2, finishing third. 4th place goes to Mark Catone in the 24, and 5th place to Marion Reno in the 61. Kurt Habadell celebrating in victory lane. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader. Because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and Western Maryland.
I do not believe in buying a foreign car.
No way under the sun would I buy an import.
The new generation.
I feel good about, driving an Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Savings of up to $2,100.
The Oldsmobile sounds like an expensive car.
A price as low as $11,170. As low as $197 a month.
Well, I would definitely buy another Olds, and I would buy it at this dealership.
Cutlass Sierra cash back now at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
Welcome back to Chase to the Checkered, the banquet frozen food street stocks out onto the racing surface for the final event of the evening, the Super Sport Power 92 20-lap feature. Let's set up the starting field. Look at those first 3 rows. There's some good cars there. The 57 of Vince Randisi. Outside of him, the 5 of Mark Cable. Back in the second row, it's the 29 of Bob Rayleigh and the 49 of Denny Wingard. In the third row, Jeff Stewart in the 37 and Jeff Dunbar in the 07.
First 2 rows consist of 3 Fords and 1 Chevy. Let's see if the Fords can gobble up that lone Chevy.
We'll keep our eyes on Windsor, New York's Vince Randisi on the point. It's up to him to bring him out of 4 for the green. We get it, and we're racing.
Randisi taking off on the start.
Down into 1 and 2, Vince Randisi, the dominant feature winner last year here at Jennerstown, goes right into the lead, something he's looking forward to, starting off the good 1990 season. Mark Cable right behind him in that Ford. He shows that he can run out this racetrack and gets off to a good start at the beginning of this feature event. Everybody getting through lap 1 cleanly so far, and it's Randisi in the Coors Extra Gold with the lead by about 4 car lengths over Cable, who has Denny Wingard very busy on his back bumper as everybody else gets through 1 and 2 very cleanly. Now we're down the back straightaway, concentrating on this lead battle.
Look at Wingard. What a move.
Denny Wingard in that 49, making a low side move. Now he settles into the back bumper of Mark Cable, and I would imagine Mr. Cable's going to have his hands full here very shortly with both Wingard and the 07 of Jeff Dunbar right there. That battle for second, third, and fourth.
That move kind of reminiscent of the super speedways where the cars try to break the draft going down the back straightaway.
The cars continuing down the back straighties, sometimes 2 and 3 wide in the back of the pack. There's Wild Bill McMillan in the 51 as he battles it out with Bob Rayleigh. We go back up to that second place battle in 1 and 2, and we're already lapping the, that's, I think, James Barron in the 16, a lapped automobile. He just began racing here, so he's probably going to take it pretty easy as we continue with this battle for second place. Side by side out there, David. Wingard on the low side. He goes under the yellow line off the banking and takes second place.
Pass. The 2 Fords fighting it out.
07 of Jeff Dunbar, a Chevy getting in there, a Chevelle, the Bruning Brothers 07 machine. He is right on the back bumper of Cable's car out of turn 2, and Dunbar is hooked up on the high side. That car looks like it may be a little bit loose early in the event, Dave.
The track probably has some material on it from the previous 2 races. Dunbar, one of the stronger runners at Jennerstown on dirt years ago.
Dunbar continues fishtailing that car around the turns as we go back to our leader, Randisi, down the back straightaway. The Coors Extra Gold 57, high flying. This man has run all over the country. He has a few years' experience in this division.
16 years in the street stock division, although they call them late models in the Windsor, New York, Binghamton, New York area. Vince Randisi winning his very first track championship in 1989 out of 16 years racing.
That battle for third continues between Mark Cable down the back straightaway with the 07 machine of Jeff Dunbar right on his back bumper. Once again, it's another Ford Chevy battle out there. Traditionally, Chevys have always been strong on the short tracks, but we have a flock of good running Fords here at Jennerstown.
There's probably a half a dozen Fords running in the street stock division. That bodes very well for the Ford contingent.
Jeff Dunbar continues to have that car dirt tracking through the turns. I just don't know whether he's just having problems or he just may be pushing that automobile for all it's worth in an effort to try to get by Cable as they work through lap traffic. In that battle for third, it is Denny Wingard and the 29 who separated themselves from that, and he runs comfortably in second as we go back to the third place battle. And oh, here he comes, St. Mary's, Pennsylvania's Wild Bill McMillan in the 51. He is closed up on the back bumper of Dunbar. We've got a 3-car battle for the third place position.
Dunbar trying the lower groove. Dunbar has won 2 features at Jennerstown previously in the 1989 season also.
A couple years ago, he took over the wheel of this car, and he's adapted to the asphalt very well. And look at the lap traffic. The 33, John Komarinsky
wide.
Komarinsky, the meat between the sandwich as he gets past on the high side by Dunbar and the low side by, wow, Bill McMillan in a 51.
More lap traffic.
That looks like the 62 of Ron Delano Jr. out there. He's another rookie just getting used to what it's like to run on the pavement at Jennerstown. The battle continues to be a 3-car one for
that
third
was
place
close.
position.
Dunbar coming up to the back end of Mark K. Oh, and he almost hit the wall.
We're trading paint out there in the Banquet Street Stock Division, David, as we continue in this battle. I'd have to say Dunbar would be the man with his hands full more so than the other 2 cars, simply because he's in the middle of it.
Well, he has to think about the guy behind him not passing him, and he has to think about getting around the guy in front of him.
Ah, he hit the bumper on Cable's machine. Contact back there, and they continue unscathed through that whole situation.
Here comes McMillan.
McMillan dives to the low side of the 07 of Dunbar. He looks like he's going to be able to take over the 4th place position. They go by lap traffic in 1 and 2.
Oh, he hit him. Oh, look out. Oh, he saved it.
Cable.
We're still under green. I don't believe it. We continue under green flag racing. That's one heck of a deal that Mark Cable is able to bring that car back from almost being completely sideways.
What a beautiful job of driving. The car was sideways, brought it around, and we're still racing.
Now, Cable's
into the pits.
got to pull the car into the pits, and we're still under green. That is Lieutenant Gary Wiltrot, second year for him racing on the pavement. We continue with the battle. This time now, it is the 07 of Jeff Dunbar trying to work the outside of Bill McMillan. Kind of a controversial move back there a few laps ago. We're still side by side in this battle for position. Down the front straightaway, McMillan almost squeezing up near the wall, and Jeff Dunbar had to back out of it. They still working out side by side.
A lot of tight racing going on out there between McMillan and Dunbar.
Dunbar continues working that high line on the back straightaway. Let's see if that car continues the back end. There it goes, sliding out just a bit as he pushes that car all the way around this racetrack. There, even on the low side, he's doing it. I've known that in the past, or I should say I've seen that in the past, that car slides out quite a bit. But he seems to be comfortable running the car that way.
They had a problem at Motordrome 2 weeks ago with the brakes burning up on the car. Actually, it was the axle broke and caused the fire in the brake area.
Way down under the yellow line. When you do that at Jennerstown, it's a daring move because
look at that thing, dirt track.
The banking at Jennerstown is goes all the way down the yellow line. Then the track becomes flat on the pit apron, or I should say the apron around the track. So if a driver dives under that yellow line, he may unload the chassis and find himself in real trouble.
It's no man's land down there. It looks like Randisi has over a half a track lead on the second place car.
And Randisi's caught up in lap traffic. He's well off the pace, and I do believe we have a yellow flag. Everybody is slowed down.
And we have a car stopped going into the pit area.
Tony Hirsch with a left front flat tire, and while the yellow comes out for his miscue, we'll take a timeout for a race break.
This race break is brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money.
In the Banquet Street Stock division, street stock is a key definition of exactly what this division's about. Ron Delano Jr.'s car over here, you can definitely see they have the stock bumper on it. And if we go over here to Jeff Dunbar's car, again, the stock bumper. One of the things that's interesting on Jeff's car is if you look down here and see the holes cut out in the bumper. At first, I asked Jeff if that was for weight situation. He said, no, we're not trying to lighten the bumper up. What we're doing by cutting these holes is letting the air pass through the car. These drivers will do anything they can to make these cars go faster through the air. Of course, another thing on these cars are the hood pins. Well, in this case, the rear trunk on the deck here, the pins for that to hold this down when the air is sweeping over the car. The same thing over here on Ron Delano's car. He has them in all four corners of his trunk, the hood pins to keep that down. So once again, no matter what division it is here at Jennerstown racing on this track, they're always looking for that type of edge to make that car go a little faster.
This race break has been brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money.
We're ready to go with the restart for the Banquet Frozen Food Street Stock Division. Randisi on the point in a Coors Extra Gold 57. Denny Wingard in that Ford right behind him.
Wingard, one of the only few competitors that have been able to beat Randisi at the Jennerstown Speedway.
We'll keep our eyes on it. This could be it. Wingard's going to have to pull out all the... Oh, easy in the back. Bob Rayleigh getting a jump. Everybody settles down, and we do get the green flag, so we're racing.
Oh, 3 wide again. Mark Roberts.
Mark Roberts coming on in the later part of this race. Sneaks under the Ken Henry machine, the 26, and 37 of Jeff Stewart. Roberts is trying to close in on the 07 of Jeff Dunbar, and Randisi starts to pull away from Wingard about 5 car lengths. So Vince Randisi showing that he has this car dialed into this racetrack this evening. Everybody getting through down the front straightaway. Just a few laps remaining as we continue working in this Super Sport Power 92 20-lap event for the Banquet Frozen Food Street Stocks. Check out the 07 of Jeff Dunbar. He's now closing up to the back bumper of Wingard.
I don't know if he'll be able to get him coming out of number 4, Mike.
This time around, 2 laps remaining in this feature event for the Banquet Street Stocks, and we're concentrating on this battle for second place. Denny Wingard continues to hold off the hard-charging Jeff Dunbar as they battle it out on the back straightaway. Here comes Mark Roberts making his presence known in the 66. Look at Roberts close in on the back bumper of the 07 machine.
Look out! Oh, Dunbar almost hit the inside wall.
He continues dirt tracking at 1 lap remaining. It's all Vince Randisi's race as he goes into the second turn, but our battle is for second. Dunbar power sliding that car through the turns. Possible contact with Wingert's 49 on the back straightaway. Here comes Mark Roberts in the quality brake rotor 66. He dives to the low side of Dunbar's car. They might have had contact there, but I do believe Vince Rendisi has won. Here comes a battle for second. It's Wingert, the 07 of Dunbar, and Roberts.
Mark Roberts making a gallant effort to take over the fourth place.
There's your winner in the Coors Extra Gold, 57, Vince Rendisi. Once again on opening day here at Jennerstown in 1990 season, showing his dominance as the rest of the cars cooling down on this warm-down lap. The final event of the evening into the record books. Rendisi into victory lane in the Banquet Street Stocks, a Super Sport Power 92 20-lap feature event. Let's take a look at the top 5 finishers. Vince Rendisi, of course, winning. Denny Wingert into 49. Jeff Dunbar in the 07 was third. Fourth goes to Mark Roberts. Fifth to Jeff Stewart in the 37 machine. The Coors Extra Gold, number 57 team in victory lane.
Making the 6-hour tow one way each weekend. Previous 2 years, the dominant driver at Jennerstown.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader. Because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and Western Maryland.
North Star Auto Parts specializes in late model salvage for American and foreign cars and trucks. Our large selection of economical and dependable used parts is monitored by computer to give you fast and accurate price quotes. Our national parts search program puts the inventory of the entire country at our fingertips. If it's available, we'll find it. We offer a 100-day warranty on all late model drivetrain components and free delivery to businesses in a 10-county area. For quality used parts with state-of-the-art service, it's North Star Auto Parts.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
With Glenn Galt, Kurt Havidel, and Vince Rendisi visiting Victory Lane in our feature events, we come to a close for this week's show. If you'd like to experience the excitement of NASCAR Winston Racing Series competition in person at Jennerstown Speedway, plan to be with us every Saturday night as we open the gates at 4:30 with the first race at 7 p.m. Jennerstown's located just 10 miles east of Ligonier, Pennsylvania, at the intersections of Route 30 and 985. And don't forget to visit one of the 9 conveniently located Giant Auto Parts stores in Western Pennsylvania to pick up your Jennerstown Speedway reserve seat discount coupon. Once again, we say goodbye from Jennerstown Speedway. Have a great week, and we'll see you at the races. Chase to the Checkered, featuring the NASCAR Winston